Good evening. Welcome to the RBC general election debate. As Britain faces another general election on the 4th of July, the RBC News brings to you the first Roblox general election debate in the British electoral history. In a world that's more unstable, amongst domestic and international challenges and a cost of living crisis, our question is, what will each political parties do on those issues? Today, representatives from three major political parties will answer our questions and the public's question, covering the issues that you care about. You can also interact with this debate on Twitter by hashtag RBC Debate and on YouTube. Let's welcome Gabriel Sharif, Deputy Chairman of Milton Keynes Young Conservatives, and is here tonight on behalf of the Conservative Party, led by Rishi Sunak. He studied law and calls himself a proud conservative. And Harry Kavanagh, from East Lothian and member of Scottish Labour, is here tonight on behalf of the Labour Party, led by Sir Keir Starmer. He calls himself a left-wing Social Democrat and a proud Scottish Labour. And Benjamin Roberts, from Southern Coalfield and Erdington Liberal Democrats, is here tonight on behalf of the Liberal Democratic Party, led by Seth Davey. He calls himself a Liberal, proud Brit and a Brummie. On the first part of this debate, each candidate will have 2 minutes in an opening statement in the first part of this debate. Let's start with Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Thank you. Britons, in just 2 weeks and around 4 days, you decide who leads our country. Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer. Labour's plans are unclear, but we are clear of one thing, is that they are raising taxes for the working people. They will be raiding pensions and risking the future of our economy. And do we really want that uncertainty? The Conservatives have a clear plan. We'll cut your taxes, protect your pensions, and reduce immigration. We are committed, as always, to economic stability, financial security, and strong borders. We offer a secure future for you and your family, and a clear and strong, bold plan. Together, we'll build a better Britain. Thank you.
Harry Kavanagh. The Labour Party candidate, Harry Kavanagh. You're on mute. Okay, before we go to Harry, let's start with Benjamin Roberts, Liberal Democratic Party. Your opening statement.
The choice is simple on July 4th. Do we continue the 14 years of chaos and spiralling cost of living, or do we live for a free and fair society in which no one is enslaved by poverty, ignorance, or conformity? We want electoral reform. We want better healthcare. And we want what is at the heart of British values.
Thank you, Benjamin. And let's come back to Harry from the Labour Party. I'm very sure Harry is having some of his issues at the moment. But we can come to the second part of this general election debate. The host will ask questions, and candidates will have 1 minute to answer those questions. A 30-second pardon can be given for the sake of flexibility. The question will be as follows. First of all, we cover the issues that we most care about, the cost of living. And the question is quite simple. How would your party tackle the cost of living crisis? Let's start with Gabriel Sharif from the Conservative Party.
Thank you. It's very clear that we have a cost of living crisis, right? But inflation is going down under Rishi Sunak's plan. We have a clear plan, bold actions, and we want to offer a secure future for our country. Now, we'll do that by reducing borrowing and debt, backing businesses to invest, innovate and trade, cutting taxes and reforming our welfare system, delivering world-class education, and delivering an affordable transition to domestic sustainable energy.
Thank you. Harry is back, so he will make an opening statement first, and then he will answer our question. So let's start with Harry Kavanagh from the Labour Party. Your opening statement.
Hi, I'm sorry about that, everybody. Hi, I'm Harry. I'm a left-wing social democrat, and I campaign with the Scottish Labour Party. And when I speak to people on the doors, I just get the sense that people are sick and tired of the Conservatives, all the scandal and all the sleaze, and the fact that the services that we hold dear, like our NHS, are on life support. This election is about either keeping this failing government in power or change with Keir Starmer's Labour Party, which is now back in the service of working people.
Thank you. Now we have coming back to our progress. So, how would your party tackle the cost of living crisis? Let's continue with Harry from the Labour Party. Your question is yes.
Right, so how we deal with the cost of living crisis? Well, Labour see that the cost of everything has gone up by magnitudes more than people can afford. Therefore, we have laid out a plan to ensure that people can afford what they need again. For example, the Labour Party will be ensuring that every business pays every worker at least a living wage to ensure that people on the minimum wage who have the least amount of money in society can pay their way in life and can pay for the things that they need, their food, their water, their rent. We also have a plan to deliver the GB energy, which will lower bills by using renewable energy. This will be owned by the government. We will use this to lower energy bills by a half. As well, for any parent that can't afford to feed their children, the Labour Party has pledged to feed kids breakfast in schools with free breakfast clubs for everybody.
Thank you. And last, we come for this question to the Liberal Democratic Party, Benjamin Roberts. How would your party tackle the cost of living crisis?
It's quite simple for us, really.
Yes.
In real life, in day-to-day world, in the in-person shops on the high street, things are just costing too much. You go to your local Sainsbury's and your prices are doubling. We want to be able to safeguard this. We want to be able to make sure that going in person, going to your local shops makes it as cheap as possible so you can deal with this cost of living crisis. We're going to introduce an internet sales tax of 4% to these big online retailers able to scam the British people and take away what we value most, which is our high streets and our shops, which we can't afford to keep shopping at.
Thank you, Benjamin. Now we come to the second part of the question time. It will be about the National Health Service. The National Health Service is something people very much care about. Amid issues like funding, industrial actions, and the mental health epidemic, how would your party tackle and reduce the National Health Service waiting list and its backlogs? Let's start with Gabriel Sharif from the Conservative Party.
Thank you. Well, we have a clear plan for the future of the NHS. We want to implement the first ever NHS long-term workforce plan, ensuring that we have the workforce we need to look after patients for years to come. We want to open 160 community diagnostic centres by March 2025. We want to boost productivity in the NHS by investing £3.4 billion in technology to cut admin and speed up diagnosis so staff can focus on patients. We also want to publish our NHS dental recovery plan. which will set out a package of measures to deliver 2.5 million additional NHS appointments across England. And we are investing £8.6 billion in additional funding for adult social care. I know that the NHS recently has not been 100%. However, we have a plan to fix it. We want to address the historic disparity between physical and mental health by investing an additional 4.6 billion in mental health services. So we have a clear plan for the future of the NHS, whereas the Welsh Labour, for example, has the longest hospital waits in Great Britain. The Welsh Labour is the only administration to have cut the NHS budget since 2010. And Labour's promises to the NHS are completely unfunded, meaning they will likely have to increase taxes as they have admitted to pay for them or U-turn on them. Thank you.
Well, then we come to Harry Kavanagh. You can also respond to Gabriel from the Conservative Party's claim over the Welsh Labour's record on health services, as well as the funding of your spending commitments. By that, you got 13 minutes extra time for you to respond to his questions and the claims. So how would your party tackle and reduce the National Health Service waiting list and choose Harry Kavanagh, Labour Party?
Thank you, Jay. So let's look at things with the NHS. We Labour are the party of the NHS. When the NHS first happened, I think you all know that it was under Nye Bevan and Clement Attlee. So Labour's plan with the NHS is to see what's been going on in the NHS, see how mismanaged the funds are, see how low the staff are paid, see how people are leaving the NHS en masse to work in other countries. And when Rishi Sunak said that the NHS waiting list will go down, they've only gone up. The NHS is in crisis. The last time Rishi Sunak was tasked to give money to try and fix COVID, it went to Michelle Mone and her brand new yacht. But when Labour was in control, the NHS, the waiting times were at record lows. There was the guarantee, the record high satisfaction with the NHS. We intend to do that again. Our first call of action will be to use private space to get down NHS waiting lists because there is plenty of space in the private sector and not enough in the public sector. We will then invest billions of pounds into funding our NHS, getting new doctors and new nurses, and getting the world-beating equipment in it again. And the claim that Labour's NHS in Wales has been cut is absolutely ridiculous. Budgets from Westminster under continuous Tory governments have cut the Labour funding in Wales. It is absolutely.
You're jumping in and out. You still got about 10 seconds for that? Well,
No.
okay, anyway. Right. Would you like to continue because your voice is jumping in and out?
Right, what was I saying before it cut out?
You were saying that the Westminster cuts to Labour Wales.
Yeah, there's been continuous cuts from continuous Tory governments in Westminster that have cut the budget in Wales. So when the Tories are complaining about Labour in Wales cutting the NHS, it's them that are the problem. It's not us causing the problem.
I see. I see. What Harry's talking about. Let's get the debate more interesting. Let's ask Gabriel. What would you respond to the claim from Harry that the Westminster have continuously cut under Conservative government Wales funding, and therefore it should be blamed for Welsh National Health Service underperformance? Gabriel from the Conservative Party.
Oh, Labour has gotten used to when things don't go right in Wales, they always blame the Conservatives or the central government or this or that. They never take accountability for their actions. But the truth here is that the NHS budget in Wales which is sorted by the administration of the Welsh Labour, right? They are the ones who allocate the funds given by the central government to fund the NHS, and they've only cut the budget. The NHS budget in Wales fell between 2010 to 2012, while the NHS budget in England has increased in real terms since 2010. It's clear that the Welsh Labour government is incompetent. They've only just failed. They've only just been shown a motion of no confidence, which was passed, and they are clinging on to power in Wales. But the truth here is that they've ruined Wales and they've ruined the United Kingdom. They have no plans for the future of our country. All they can say is is shout slogans like change and it's always the fault of the Tory government and
Time
not
alert.
take accountability. Thank you.
Okay, we're having a debate from between Conservative and Labour, but Lib Dems also deserve a voice. So Benjamin Roberts, what would your party tackle and reduce National Health Service waiting lists amid issues like funding, industrial actions, and mental health epidemic? Benjamin
Well,
Roberts, Liberal Democratic Party.
first of all, we want to give everyone the right to see a GP within 7 days or within 24 hours if it's urgent, by delivering 8,000 more MPs. We want to improve early access to mental health services and establish mental health hubs for young people in every community, and have regular mental health checkups at key points in people's lives when they're vulnerable. Additionally, we want to be able to improve on care as well. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to introduce a free personal care based on the model we implemented in Scotland in 2002, create a social care workforce plan, and establish a Royal College of Care Workers to improve recognition, career progression, and introduce a higher carers minimum wage, which should get people to come in and actually care.
Thank you very yes. Yes, thank you, Benjamin. We did have a few debates for National Health Service. For the sake of time, we'll touch on the National Service plan very shortly. So Rishi Sunak, the Conservative Party leader and current Prime Minister, have pledged that if Conservative were to win the next general election, they would implement the National Service in a few years. By that, people can choose 28 days worth, which is 1 weekend per month, of community voluntary service in the local community, or 1 year of military service. The military service, according to Rishi, would be extremely selective. Rishi Sunak believed this national service plan would enhance the sense of service and community amongst people. However, the Labour Party called it a desperate attempt to gain more votes and support, and this did face a large scale of opposition, even amongst Conservative voters. So let's start actually with Gabriel Sharif, the Conservative Unionist Party. Do your party support the National Service? I assume the answer is yes. And why? Just have a very short answer to that.
Well, thank you.
Gabriel.
Well, clearly, we support national service. People will be given the choice between civic service and military service. There are many developed countries who still have a type of national service, like Denmark, Sweden, Austria. So, it is good for a country like the United Kingdom to have a national service, not only to, teach more skills to our younger generations and to people who are obviously just turning 18, who have a long life ahead of them, who need to learn more skills when it comes to coming out to the adult world. And as we've seen, the world is growing to be an uncertain place. We've seen the increased threat from the Russian tyrants. We've seen increased threat from the Chinese tyrants, and we want to create a type of community service where people can contribute back to their local communities
Thank you.
or to our country as a whole.
Yeah, thank you. Let's keep this very short because we did have a large debate in National Health Service. Labour Party, Harry Kavanagh. you very much. Sorry, the host actually got kicked out, so probably the YouTube live is disrupted. Uh, that is so weird. I'm very sorry about this. Do remember, candidates, do jump a little bit because the Roblox do actually kick people out every 20 minutes when you're completely still. So do jump a little bit, move your legs a bit. So we're back on. Thank you very much, Johnny. We're back on. Johnny, is Harry's voice being heard? Is he? If he is, then we will jump on for Benjamin Roberts. Oh, Harry was not heard. So, Harry, would you repeat what you said? I'm very sorry about this.
Right, not a problem. So yeah, the National Service Plan, we are very much against it here at the Labour Party for three main reasons. First off, army members disagree with it. It's not a good plan. Army members disagree because it restricts their ability to do their job properly because they're too busy dealing with people who don't want to be in the army, trying to train them to do something they don't want to do and they can't be bothered to do. As well, the Tories say that you don't have to go to the army and you can instead do 28 days of voluntary community service. But it's not voluntary if you're being forced to do it. It restricts people's freedom. People can spend their Saturdays doing things that benefit their life or things with people that may actually benefit people, but they're being forced to do something that they don't want to do. People on their Saturdays should have the right, especially if it's their day off, should have the right to use their time however they like. And if they want to volunteer, good for them. But if they don't want
Thank
to,
you.
I don't see why they should have to.
Thank you very much. Let's jump to Benjamin Roberts, Liberal Democratic Party, on this question. Would your party, or does your party support the National Service and why? Benjamin Roberts, Liberal Democratic Party.
No, the Liberal Democrats are not support national service. As a concept, we feel like, yes, people should do good things, but we don't think they should be forced to do so. The whole thing is about choice and individuality. No one should be forced through punishments to do things that they wouldn't have otherwise done. And I mean, the costings for national service is just absolutely ridiculous. The expectation that is only about 1% of people are going to take up the army, and the rest of them are just going to take up doing community service just doesn't seem accurate at all. And yeah, we wholeheartedly disagree with national service.
Thank you. And before we jump to an ad break, let's go on housing and planning issue, which an issue that many young people care about, providing the house prices have kept going up. So, providing the rising concerns of a so-called housing crisis, especially from young people and for young people, do your party believe in a planning reform as a way to build more houses? And please do elaborate on your answers. Let's start with Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Well, thank you for the question. Well, it's clear to us, it's clear to everyone at home that we have a plan for housing. We want to do more when it comes to boosting the availability of affordable housing for local people in rural areas, for example, because many times our rural communities are also ignored when it comes to these topics. We also want to increase funding for local authorities by 4.5 billion, helping them to continue to deliver the key services in local areas. When it comes to local areas, I also mean helping council housing. We also want to stick to our plan to deliver 1 million homes by the end of Parliament. We want to protect the green belt by prioritizing the building of new homes. We want to cut stamp duty. We are actually abolishing it for first-time buyers when it comes to a certain amount of money, when it comes to a certain amount of price of the house. However, Keir Starmer has said that the Labour Party will bulldoze through green belt protections and thus local views. The Labour Party has also voted against measures that would allow 100,000 homes to be built. And despite saying that London requires 100,000 new homes a year to provide enough housing. Sadiq Khan has only completed 36,000 a year. The last Labour government oversaw the lowest level of house building since the 1920s. In the 2008 Labour government, only 75,000 new homes were started. It's clear that the Labour government, whenever they were in power or not, have tried to oppose building houses in a way which do not impact local people. And even where they were in the position of a government to build more houses, they simply failed. How can we trust a Labour government where in London they're failed to build more houses, in Milton Keynes they want to scrap the green belt and build 63,000 more houses, and nationally they have opposed plans to build more houses? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Carrie, how would you respond to a Conservative claim that Labour have opposed house building? By that, you have 30 seconds, pardon. And also answer the question, do your party believe in planning reform, and how would you do that?
Right, so our plan is to build for new homes, first-time buyers, to ensure that people, when there's new builds built, that first-time buyers will have the priority over somebody who already owns their own home. And as well, what's mentioned with the green belt being put in jeopardy, if you look at the land that we're planning of building on, none of it is green belt, and all of it's just wasteland that nobody's wanted to build on. We will be using that to build new homes. And as well, Gabriel's point of making sure first-time buyers don't pay stamp duty, they already don't pay any stamp duty. That is a complete and utter lie. I don't know how people believe what he's saying, because first-time buyers do not pay for stamp duty. That's only if you have more than one home.
Okay, thank you very much. Benjamin Roberts, Liberal Democratic Party. Do your party believe in planning reform, and how would you do that? Thank you. Benjamin Roberts.
Yes. Well, we believe, first of all, we need to up building of new homes. We want to increase it to 380,000 a year across the UK, which includes 150,000 social homes. We want a fair deal for renters as well. So we're going to immediately ban no-fault evictions, making 3-year tenancy the default, and create a national register of licensed landlords. We're going to give local authorities the powers to get rid of right to buy in their areas. We want to abolish residential leaseholds and cap ground rents to a nominal fee. We want to make sure that our green belt is protected, and we want to do it by using brownfield land.
Thank you very much. So now we can jump onto an ad break. Some sip of water. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Please continue to stick with us for the other parts of the question time and the rest of the debate. Thank you very much.
This is RBC Television.
This is RBC.
You are listening to RBC Radio 1.
Good evening.
Welcome to RBC World News. 3, 2, 1.
On the 4th of July, the British people will decide who will sit in number 10 and which party will run our government for the next 5 years. Is it Rishi Sunak and the Conservative Party again, or Keir Starmer and the Labour Party? In a more unstable world, this election is a critical one. That's why for the first time, me and the RBC brings to you the general election debate on Roblox. with representatives from all major parties telling you what they're offering on the issues you care about. Watch the RBC News on Monday 17th of June, 8 PM for the first Roblox general election debate in the British electoral history.
This is RBC Television.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to the RBC debate. We just have a lovely ad break. So let's go on with something young people also very much care about, education and skills. What is your party's plan on delivering higher standard of education, including vocational education, like practical training and apprenticeship? Let's start with Conservative Party, Gabriel Sharif. Gabriel? I think Gabriel is struggling a bit with his mic. Let's just jump with Harry Kavanagh. Let's come back with him now. What's your party's plan on education?
Thank you, Jay. So, yeah, the Labour plan on education, there is quite a bit to speak about here. So, first off, we will be hiring 6,500 more teachers for schools. This will be in all subjects, especially where in areas where teachers who aren't trained in areas have to fill in other areas. Like, let's say a maths teacher needs to teach literacy, but obviously, that's not his skill. Our next idea that I want to mention is our plan to bring new apprenticeships to our young people to ensure that they have a wide range of skills in real employment at a young age, to ensure that people from all backgrounds, closing the gap, making sure people from all backgrounds can do any job, closing down the barrier to opportunity. As well, we will also be hiring a mental health worker to go in every school, just because mental health in schools is at a record low. I've suffered from it myself, and I think we really need mental health support in schools.
Thank you very much. Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Hello. Well, first off, we want to protect day-to-day school spending in real terms per pupil. We have also pledged to ban the use of mobile phones during the school day because it obviously is counterproductive when it comes to the education of children. We want to legislate to create a register of children not in school. We want parents to also have a right to see what their child is being taught in school. And we want to clear age limits on what children can be taught. Not only that, as you've mentioned, vocational courses and apprenticeships. We will build on this by creating 100,000 more apprenticeships in England every year by the end of the next parliament. We will fund this by changing the law to close university courses in England with the worst outcomes for their students. We also want to deliver the lifelong learning entitlement, giving adults the support they need to train, retrain, and upskill flexibly throughout their working lives.
Thank you very much. And Benjamin Roberts from the Liberal Democratic Party. What's your plan
Yes, well,
on education, including vocational ones? Thank you.
we want to be able to increase school and college funding per pupil to above the rate of inflation every year. So that in real terms, the money we're spending on our students is increasing rather than decreasing. We want to be able to invest in a high quality early years education, triple the early years pupil premium to £1,000 a year. We want to give disadvantaged children aged 3 and 4 an extra 3 hours of education a week. We also want to reinstate maintenance grants for disadvantaged students, and we want to create a lifelong skill grant, which is £5,000 for adults to spend on education and training throughout their lives. When public finances allow, we'll increase that to £10,000.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Then we really have to tip over different topics very quickly because of the time. Everyone are tired. So the next one will be about taxation. Will your party raise taxes? If so, what taxes would you raise? If not, where will the money of your spending commitments come from? Let's start with Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Thank you. First off, we will cut employee national insurance to 6% by April 2027, meaning that we will have halved it from 12% at the beginning of this year. Second point is that we want the abolition of the main rate of Class 4 national insurance contributions builds on our abolition of Class 2 contributions for self-employed people from April this year. As well as cutting national insurance for 25 million people, we will also not raise the rate of income tax or VAT. We also want to increase pay for working people. As a result, for our personal tax cuts and increases in the minimum wage, the take-home pay of someone working full-time on the national living wage has gone up by 35% in real terms since 2010. We will maintain the national living wage each year of the next parliament at 2/3 of the median earnings. We also want to cut tax for pensioners, and that's why we will continue to uprate the state pension in line with the highest of the prices
Thank you.
earnings, or to 2.5%. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Harry Kavanagh, Labour Party.
Thank you, Jay. So our plan on tax, if any voter at home is watching, there will be no new tax on workers. Enough said, simple as. The tax burden is already at its highest rate since World War II. Families are struggling the hardest with tax out of any family in the last 100 years. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. Taxes will not go up under any Labour government, but we will be increasing the windfall tax on energy companies to ensure that energy bills can come down even further.
Thank you. Let's then we come to Benjamin Roberts, Liberal Democratic Party. Sorry, the camera did focus on your face when Harry's speaking. Benjamin Roberts.
Yes. Can you repeat what the question was? Sorry.
So what's your party's plan on taxes? If so, would your party raise tax? What tax would you raise? If not, where would the money of your spending commitments come from?
All right, thank you. Well, we don't want to be increasing taxes on regular working people. They're the ones that are suffering the most with the tax burden right now. So what we want to do is we want to reverse Conservative cuts to taxes on banks, making sure that banks are fairly paying what they should be. Reform capital gains tax, so people are paying their fair share as well. A proper windfall tax on oil and gas super profits, raising the digital sales tax, 4% tax on share buybacks, the sewage tax on water company profits, so help stop them polluting the waterways as well. And then we also want to tackle tax avoidance and evasion, and all of this should bring in about 27 billion that we're able to play with.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Then this question will be very short. There will be yes or no question. Would your party support the nationalisation of water, energy, and transport? Any of those? Conservative Party, Gabriel Sharif, yes or no?
No.
Labour Party, Harry Kavanagh, yes or no?
Yes.
Liberal Democratic Party, Benjamin Roberts.
Partially.
Part of it. Is it water, energy, or transport? Which one?
Well, we want to subsidise rail fares to try and keep them as low as possible.
Okay, thank you. So, the next topic, we really run out of time, sorry. The next topic would be about defence and national security. The party believe in nuclear deterrent and will commit to our Trident system. This one you get to elaborate a bit more. Let's start with Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Thank you. Well, we want, as we've seen, for example, the national deterrent, we've seen a pretty much divided Labour Party. You have Angela Rayner and David Lammy voting against plans to continue our nuclear deterrent. So clearly they have no plan when it comes to our nuclear deterrent. Now they've come out and said they want to support it because obviously it fits their narrative. whereas we have a clear plan when it comes to the future of our defense. We want to match 2.5% of our GDP commitment to our national security. We want, by 2030, obviously, we want a campaign to set a new baseline of 2.5% for NATO allies by 2030. We are proud of our record when it comes to defense. We have led the world in support of Ukraine against Putin's aggression, and we will always be steadfast in our support for our Trident nuclear deterrent and have invested in its modernization, including a nuclear skills package worth up to £763 million by 2030. We also want to boost our UK defence industrial base by giving the industry the multi-year certainty it requires to produce the equipment we need. And we also have a pledge to our veterans. We will maintain the Office for Veterans Affairs. We will maintain the base operating budget of the Office for Veteran Affairs. We will extend the visa fees waiver introduced to cover Commonwealth personnel. We'll cut the cost of the Veterans Rail Card, and we'll pass the UK's first ever Veterans Bill, because it's not only about the current state and the future. It's also about those who've served in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. Do keep it short. Harry Kavanagh from the Labour Party. Does your party believe in the nuclear deterrent, and would you commit to our Trident system? Also, I give you 30 seconds to respond to Gabriel's claim which is quite a popular challenge against you, on David Lammy voting against the nuclear Trident.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, so Labour is fully committed to our Trident system, keeping our nuclear system, our nuclear deterrent, and tightening our relationship with our global partners and ensuring that Ukraine has the advantage against Russia, and push fully funding even more than the Tories that way. But currently, what's happening is people are looking at the past of what Angela Rayner has voted for and what David Lammy has voted for. I admit that those two have made mistakes in the past, but they have recognised the mistake that they have made, and the party is now fully committed to our nuclear deterrent.
All right, thank you very much. Liberal Democratic Party, Benjamin Roberts. Do your party believe in nuclear deterrent, and would you commit to our Trident system?
Benjamin
Roberts.
We're fully committed to maintaining the nuclear deterrent. Full summary is providing continuous deterrence at sea, but we also want to pursue multilateral global disarmament, making sure that everyone around the world is disarming their nuclear weapons, so we don't need to have this deterrent. In terms of our army, we want to increase defence spending to 2.5% of the GDP. I want to reverse the cut to the army by the Conservative government by increasing regular troop numbers back to over 100,000.
All right, thank you very much. Then we would come to immigration. Immigration is actually rated by YouGov as the third most, notified issues amongst the British people. Does your party believe legal immigration is too high? If not, why? If so, how would your party reduce the level of legal immigration? And to merge another question, what's your party's approach on illegal immigration and channel crossing? So, because I merged two questions together, each one will have 2 minutes to reply to it. Let's start with Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Well, obviously, over the last years, we've seen an increase in legal migration and illegal. And our plan to cut migration is that we have to control the numbers, and we have to give the public the confidence they will come down significantly. We'll introduce a binding legal cap on migration, set on work and family visas, so public services are protected whilst we bring the skills our businesses and the NHS needs. Our cap will be set at a level that explicitly takes into account the costs and the benefits of migration. We also want to stop illegal migration, and that's why we want to establish a deterrent. We will run a relentless continual process of permanently removing illegal migrants to Rwanda with a regular rhythm of flights. And we want to end the legal merry-go-round. We will stop illegal migrants from bringing spurious challenges to block their removals by bringing our Illegal Migration Act into force. We have to reform asylum rules, and with control of our borders, we can do more to help refugees fleeing persecution. In addition to maintaining visa schemes for people fleeing Hong Kong, Ukraine, and our Afghan settlement schemes, we will give Parliament control of how many places we offer on safe and legal routes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Harry Kavanagh, Labour Party. So what's your party's approach on legal and illegal immigration? It's two questions together, so 2 minutes for you.
Thank you, Jay. So our plan on legal immigration is that we will be cutting it down. Our plan is to cut legal immigration because it is reducing our workers' wages and it's stopping British workers from being trained in these sectors that we need. We will be training more British workers to stop any need for having immigrants. We at the Labour Party are very, very thankful for what immigrants have done for our NHS over the past 14 years. They have single-handedly kept it together. And we will not be removing any of these legal immigrants who have been working very hard in the UK. But we will be ensuring that British workers are trained and put at the forefront of our NHS. With illegal migration, we have a very, very detailed plan on this. So, first, we will be stopping people from staying in the hotels, which cost the taxpayer £8 million a day. We will stop that absolutely ridiculous and farcical practice. We will also crack the criminal gangs that are bringing migrants over here. And we will be clearing the backlog to ensure that migrants are either cleared to stay in the UK, cleared to go to a safe country, or cleared to go back to their own country within a matter of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Benjamin Roberts from the Liberal Democratic Party.
Well, completely want to stop the small boat crossings, and to do that, want to be able to work closely with Europol and with the French authorities to really tackle the problem at its heart by ending the smuggling and trafficking gangs that are making these people risk their lives. We also want to help ensure there's safe and legal routes for migrants to get into this country so they don't have to brave the crossing of the English Channel just to be able to have a chance at a life. We also want to ensure that people who've been waiting for a decision more than 3 months are able to actually go and work in the UK. So at least they're contributing back to the economy with the money we're spending processing that.
Thank you very much from the Liberal Democratic Party. Then we will actually cover two very small issues very quickly. So, climate change and environment. What is your party's approach to climate change net zero, as well as the approach the issues of pollution? I give you a hint on water pollution, which is a very heated topic in the UK. What's your party approach to that? Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Well, we want to invest £1.1 billion into the green industry's growth accelerated to support British manufacturing capabilities. We also want to approve 2 new fleets of small modular reactors to rapidly expand our nuclear power. But we have to do this, and we have to transition to net zero in a way which doesn't hurt the pockets of the working people. So, we'll cut the cost of tackling climate change for households and business and deliver net zero by 2050 by sticking up to our pragmatic, proportionate, and realistic approach that eases the burden on working people. We want to introduce more efficient local markets for electricity. We want to give the households the choice of smart energy tariffs. We want to ensure that green levies on household bills are lower. We want to reform the Climate Change Committee, giving it an explicit mandate to consider cost to households and UK energy security. And we want to maintain our energy price cap. We also want to increase our energy security, and we'll do that by trebling our offshore wind capacity and by building the first
Thank
2
you.
carbon capture and storage clusters. Thank you.
Thank you. The Labour Party, Harry Kavanagh, what's your party's approach on net zero and climate change and the issues of pollution?
Thank you, Jay. So our plan is to be mostly reliant on offshore wind and other renewable energies by 2030. That is a part of our plan for GB Energy, which is obviously, as I've said before, nationalised energy that will cut bills as well as be good for our environment. As well, we will be expanding our pledge on the Green Plan. We will be investing 20 billion over 5 years to cut down on our pollution and make us world beating on the climate stage. And to move on to the issue of sewage in the sea, water bosses who have overseen this law breaking, disgusting activity that has ruined swimming. I've seen videos of people being hit by tampons whilst trying to go for a dip in the sea. That is not right. We will be
Oh God.
finding these people and making sure they face criminal charges. And we will be fining the companies that is dumping the sewage into the sea, making it an absolutely horrible place, looking like something straight out of my rusty pipe. It is absolutely awful. And
Uh,
Labour's plan will ensure that this policy stops.
that, thank you. Okay. What would your party do about climate change and the issues of pollution? Benjamin Roberts, Lib Dems.
Well, with climate change, we want to maintain our commitment under the Paris Agreement to reduce emissions by at least 68% by 2030, by net zero by 2045. We want to invest in renewable power so that by 2030, 90% of our electricity is generated from renewables. We want a rooftop solar revolution and expand incentives for households to install solar panels, including a guaranteed fair price for electricity sold back into the grid.
Thank you very much. Then we come to the last question of the question time part of the debate. I'm very sure people are quite excited. I'm really looking forward for debating. Candidates, do remember to jump your avatar a little bit to avoid Roblox kicking you out. This also applies to the cameraman and the host, myself and the producer. Then the last question would be on diplomacy and international development. What's your party's approach on the European Union relation with the Europe, the single market and the custom union? This also, you can mention NATO. It's quite a big question, so you've got 2 minutes each. Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Thank you. Well, when it comes to the European Union, we have to respect the Brexit referendum. As I've spoken before, we are proud of our record against Putin's aggression and having been the first European country to mobilize lethal aid to Ukraine. When it comes to many world conflicts, the UK has been a key partner of various countries. We want to strengthen our Commonwealth. We want to maintain a special relationship with the US. And we want to strengthen our relationships with like minded partners around the world. Our highest priority in the world remains protecting the British homeland, crown dependencies, and overseas territories. We'll build on our post Brexit relationships in Europe, including through the Joint Expeditionary Force and new defensive treaties with Germany, Poland. In relation to China, we'll strengthen national security protections and we'll
Thank you.
maintain
Thank
close
you very much,
ties
Gabriel.
with the Indo-Pacific. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel. Harry Kavanagh from the Labour Party.
Labour's plan for the thank you, James. Yeah, so Labour's plan for the EU is a very simple one. We will not be rejoining the EU, and we will not be rejoining the single market, but we will make Brexit work, and we will increase our relationship with the EU, including a closer tie on the carbon tax and a defence pact with the EU. As well, we want to trade more with the EU, and we want to make sure that our global partners are united to build a peaceful and more secure world for us all. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much. Benjamin Roberts, Liberal Democratic Party. What's your party's approach on the EU, single market and the custom union, as well as NATO?
Well, firstly, in regards to Europe, we want to fix our broken relationship with Europe and remove as many barriers to trade as possible between the UK and the continent. We want to support international institutions such as the UN, the Commonwealth, NATO, and the International Criminal Court, ensuring that we have a robust international community which is able to look after the world. We also want to return our spending on international development to 0.7% of our GDP, stand with the people of Ukraine against Vladimir Putin, and advocate for a bilateral ceasefire in the conflict over Gaza. Trying to end the humanitarian catastrophe and provide space to reach a two-state solution based on the 1967 borders.
Thank you very much. Seems like many candidates already addressed issues about Gaza, Ukraine, and the threat of China. But for just to have a very short question, what is your party's approach on the war in Gaza, Ukraine, the threat of the People's Republic of China, and other international issues? By that, I want a very short question from each candidate, because you already addressed them. 30 seconds would be enough. 45 seconds would be enough for you. Let's have Gabriel Sharif from the Conservative Party.
Well, we support a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, but we also want Israel to have the right to defend itself and its territorial sovereignty. We also defend a two-state solution. However, first we need to bring in the ceasefire. We need to continue delivering aid to those in need, and then we'll bring on those discussions for a two-state solution.
Thank you very much. Harry Kavanagh from the Labour Party. What's your party's approach on the war in Gaza, Ukraine, the threat of the People's Republic of China, and other international crises? You can choose to answer one or two or all of them. Harry.
Right, so I will quickly cover our policy on Gaza. The Labour Party believes that Netanyahu is a war criminal, and what he's doing in Gaza is absolutely awful. We 100% agree with a ceasefire, and will push our hardest with our global partners to ensure one happens. On the threat of in the Ukraine war, we 100% denounce Putin. We think he is a disgusting individual who is committing a mass genocide in Ukraine. We believe that he should be arrested by a court of human rights and be put on trial, and we will work with our global partners to do this. And the threat of threat of China to Taiwan, this is also a very, very scary issue, because Taiwan is a very small country. But with Labour, along with the UK, the US, and the UN, the whole of the United Nations, most of the United Nations, we will be backing Taiwan if any military situation were to arise. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much. Benjamin Roberts, Liberal Democratic Party.
Well, I've already touched on our commitment to helping Ukraine beat Putin, our ceasefire in Gaza. So on China, we are absolutely against any aggression and expansion from China. Want to ensure that the Taiwanese people have their democracy respected. Same with Hong Kong. We want the Uyghurs, the genocide of the Uyghurs in East Turkestan to end, and we also want democracy brought to China and democracy brought to as many countries in the world as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Then, after this section, we will have an ad break. After the ad break, we will have an actual debate between people, and this will get very fired up. You can engage with this debate on Twitter by hashtag RBC debate or live on YouTube. Thank you very much, and welcome back in just 1 minute. Thank you.
This is RBC Television.
This is RBC.
You are listening to RBC Radio 1.
Good evening.
Welcome to RBC World News. 3, 2, 1.
On the 4th of July, the British people will decide who will sit in number 10 and which party will run our government for the next 5 years. Is it Rishi Sunak and the Conservative Party again, or Keir Starmer and the Labour Party? In a more unstable world, this election is a critical one. That's why for the first time, me and the RBC brings to you the general election debate on Roblox, with representatives from all major parties telling you what they're offering on the issues you care about. Watch the RBC News on Monday 17th of June, 8 PM for the first Roblox general election debate in the British electoral history.
This is RBC Television.
Hello, welcome back to the RBC News general election debate. Now, each candidate, that's the interesting part, each candidate will have 1 minute to ask any opposing candidate maximum of 2 questions each. To be fair, let's make it 3 questions each, as they wish, and candidates will have 2 minutes to answer the question asked to them. It is not mandatory to ask exactly 2 questions to every single one of your opponent candidates. You can choose to completely ignore a candidate by not asking them any questions, or just ask 1 question, or no question at all if you see fit. So let's start with Gabriel Sharif from the Conservative Party. What's your question to your opponent?
Thank you. Well, my 2 questions will go to Labour. First off, the Labour Party has no plan for farming, and if they do, could he please clarify it? Because there is no commitment on funding for farmers, there is no plan for improving farm productivity, and they only have 87 words in their home manifesto about farming. There is no mention of agriculture in trade, no mention of fishing at all. They have no commitment to food security, and there is no mention of our rural communities. So first question is, what actually is the Labour's party plan when it comes to our rural communities and our farming? Second question, what is Labour's plan to reduce the tax burden on working people? Because all they say is that they're not going to put any taxes up when we all know that is a lie. So Labour has no plan to reduce the tax burden on working people. So why doesn't Harry just admit that? Thank you.
Gabriel, you can actually ask 2 questions to each candidate, so you actually got 4 questions.
Oh.
You can ask 2 questions for the Lib Dems.
Okay. Well, for the Lib Dems, the Lib Dems clearly have no plan as well. They are calling for new taxes on household eating. So, as you've said, it's the biggest tax burden ever. So, are you really in a position to be hiking taxes on working people? And another point, they are slashing services and raising council taxes in local councils because they have no plan for the long term. So really, what is the long-term plan of the Liberal Democrats when it comes to slashing services and raising council taxes, which they have pledged to do? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you have your for the Labour candidate, Harry. What's your questions?
Right, thank you. So I have 1 question each for the Labour, for the Labour, for the Lib Dem and for the Tory. So my first question goes to Gabriel. Why should people trust you to make sure that they have a good standard of living if real wages have fallen by over 20% since 2010? And my question for the Liberal Democrat is, after your coalition with the Conservatives, why should voters trust you to deliver actual change?
Are you sure that's all your questions? You can actually ask 2 each.
I'm sure that is all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Benjamin Roberts, what are your questions?
Well, I choose not to attack my candidates, but ask them questions what the people really want to hear. So I'd like to ask both Gabriel and Harry what the plan is for transgender rights among Labour and the Conservatives, and that's my only question.
Okay, you can actually ask 3 more questions to them. So are you sure that's all your questions?
I'm sure, yes, I'm sure.
Thank you. So let's start with Gabriel Sharif again. You have 2 minutes to answer all of your questions. You are asked a question about transgender right by Benjamin Roberts from the Liberal Democratic Party, and the standard of living and real wage by Harry from the Labour Party. Let's answer those questions. Gabriel Sharif.
Well, we've promised, when it comes to cost of living, we've promised to halve inflation, which is the number one drag on family finances, and we have planned to cut taxes, unlike the Labour Party. Also, talking about trust, there are 4 more million people with a job since 2010. We have cut personal taxes by over £1,000 and £1,500 since 2010. We have been boosting the state pension by £900 this year, and we have put 20,000 extra police officers on our streets. When it comes to transgender rights, well, we have clearly, as Rishi Sunak has said, a man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense. It's clear that the Liberal Democrats don't even know what a woman is, or even the Labour Party. They are still very much undecided between what really a woman is or what she isn't. But we have protected women's rights,
Thank you.
and we plan to continue on
go on.
doing so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Harry from the Labour Party, you are asked asked 2 questions by Conservative at Gabriel about your plans on farming, and challenges you on your records of tax burdens. And you're also asked a question about the transgender right by Benjamin Roberts from the Liberal Democratic Party. You may have 2 minutes to answer them. There will be plenty of pardons, so feel free to answer them in full.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, so the first question I was asked is about farmers and how they are going to be dealt with under a potential future Labour government. So we have 4 plans that will help farmers significantly. First, our GB Energy plan, as well as helping people who aren't farmers, it will help farmers have cheaper energy to power their machines, to power the machines that water their crops, to power their homes, and to ensure that everything on their farm is electrical is working fine with a cheap price at a government-owned energy company. Our second our second plan for farmers is ensuring that the farmers have regenerative agriculture to make sure that the farming experience with agriculture is, well, a good one. Our third policy with farmers is increasing crop diversity. This will firstly ensure that people have better food and more variety in food, and this will also make sure that the soil around the farms is better fertilized for future use. The fourth and final pledge we have for farmers is to ensure that livestock and pasture we plan to ensure that livestock and pasture are managed in a way that matches the natural capacity of the land, to ensure that we have the right amount of animals on all of the land that we have.
Thank you.
And my second question
It's
on
taxes.
what was on the
The
taxes,
second
on the
section is
taxes.
taxes.
It's the taxes, yeah. Cheers. So our plan on tax is not to up tax at all. Keep tax at the same level it is. And the Tories have a cheek to say something about taxes when they have upped it to the highest level since the end of World War II. They have a cheek, let me say, because Labour's plan is fully funded without any tax increases, whilst they have made 70 billion in unfunded commitments. And my third question asked by the
Thank you.
Liberal
And
Democrat.
would you move on?
It's trans rights. Yeah, so our plan is to stop dehumanising transgender people, ensure that they are recognised and they have a voice. We will also push further discrimination protection for transgender people because there is a lot of discrimination against transgender people. Eddie Izzard, one of our potential candidates who didn't end up becoming a candidate, sadly. What happened was she's went on TV and has been open about her experiences as a trans woman. So much discrimination, especially on the internet. We will crack down on that as well. We will protect trans women in hospitals by ensuring that there are special wards for trans people where they are dealt with correctly and respectfully. And lastly, on transgender people, we will protect the trans people, as I've said before, but we will make sure that trans people are protected. Yeah, but certainly biological women should have a say in future women's rights legislation, and we'll make sure that they are safe and have single sex spaces. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Benjamin Roberts, you are asked questions by Conservative Gabriel about your issues on taxes, and as well your record in local services and council taxes. You're also asked by Harry from the Labour Party about why should the people trust you amid that you had joined a coalition with the Conservatives. Benjamin Roberts, Liberal Democrats.
Well, firstly, in regards to council tax, we're against the current system. We think it's inherently unfair, and it's a system where you're seeing houses worth, 35 million in Westminster paying less in council tax than a house worth 300 grand in Rutland. It's just simply unfair. So we want to reform that, and there's a large portion of the party who support land value tax. Which, well, we'll see if we get in government or not. How conference will vote on that. And in terms of just general taxation, we really want to reduce the burden on working people. When we're in the coalition government, we raised the threshold to £12,000, ensuring that as many people as we can afford on having to be burdened by excessive tax. And then in terms of what Harry asked about
on taxes in general, fine.
Pardon?
Yes, you are asked about the coalition and further about taxes.
Yeah, with taxes, we want to keep them as low as possible, and we want to ensure that if taxes are rising, they're taxes on things that the very wealthy are doing, but they're not taxes that we're taking away their wealth. We're ensuring that they're not able to, rip off the normal person. And then for the coalition, our record in coalition, whilst we did triple tuition fees, which everyone in the party strongly is against, we still did deliver 80% of our manifesto. And we helped to bring in the mayors. We helped bring in, the supplementary vote system, which has unfortunately been removed now. That was a Liberal Democrat idea. 5p for plastic bags, all these sort of stuff here. In our 2010 manifesto, we delivered 80% of it. So you can trust that if the Liberal Democrats are elected, and if we do enter government, that what we say we will do the vast majority of it, no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the transgender issue seems to be in the centre of many political debates. So is trans woman a woman, Gabriel?
Oh, a woman means that she doesn't have a penis, right? Biologically, a woman has a vagina.
Yes or no?
So, for me, and for why I believe our party stands for, a trans woman is not a woman. A woman is a woman.
Okay.
And a man is a man.
Okay. Harry Kavanagh, does the Labour Party believe trans women are women?
Yes, that's all I'm going to say. Yes.
Okay. The Liberal Party, Benjamin Roberts, does the Lib Dems believe trans women are women?
Yes, we believe that trans women are women.
Okay, so that's all we need to go on the transgender debate. And you can well, depending on what the audiences want, we can either just jump on to the pre-submitted questions, or you can have a period of time for free debate.
So what's happening?
I
This is
think
very confusing.
I think Jay's accidentally left the voice chat.
Yes, our host has accidentally left. He will be back.
Sorry about that. There was a little connection. Oh gosh, I got a sneezy nose. There was a connection issue. So there's a question from William Charleston. He has a question to Gabriel Sheriff. He said, "Your party hasn't delivered in the past decade. Why trust you now? And how do you feel about Rishi Sunak leaving D-Day events early? And can you speak on behalf of the Conservatives? Labour will win according to the polls. What are our chances of the Conservative victory in this election?" Gabriel Sheriff.
Well, first off, we've delivered on many of our pledges since 2010. I mean, there are 4 more million people with a job since 2010. We have ended low pay by delivering a record increase in national living wage. We've driven up school standards. So we have achieved many, many things. Obviously, no one is perfect. No party is ever perfect. There are things which we have failed on. In regard to Rishi Sunak leaving the D-Day event, I think that question is a bit, it's reoccurrent because it's already been addressed time and time again by Rishi. He's already apologized. He's admitted it's a mistake, and it shouldn't have been done. However, he did attend events in other areas of the UK, as well as the one in Normandy. But yes, it was a mistake. He's apologized for it. It's not like he just kept on clicking on the same error. And I forgot the last question. What was it? About the election. Yes. Well, as we've said time and time again, the real poll is the one on the 4th of July. The rest of the polls are what they are, and we take it as what they are. But, what the polls say is what is very different on what the public really says. And we'll see that on the 4th of July and then on the 5th when the new Prime Minister comes in, whether it's Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer. Thank you.
Jay.
Jay's sleeping, mate.
Yeah, Jay's had enough. Jay wants to go.
He's retired.
Yeah, Jay's gone, guys.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I do have a question from Callum. He says, "Why have the Tories failed to deal with immigration? Every election, they promise lower immigration. It isn't delivered." What is your response to this, Gabriel?
Well, we have been delivering on immigration, especially with the Rwanda plan. It's clear evidence that we have delivered on immigration. Whereas I can admit that not everything has been perfect when it comes to immigration. We've set out a clear plan for immigration and the future of it. We want to change the law so that if you come here legally, you'll be detained and removed. We want to strengthen immigration enforcement. We want to introduce tougher sentences for people smugglers. So we clearly have a plan. And although, yes, we haven't achieved everything we've set out in prior elections and our pledges to immigration, we have clear evidence of our plan. We have passed the Rwanda plan. We just need to get those planes going and taking off. So it's something that we very much look forward if we become government. It's getting those planes off the ground, sending people to Rwanda or to a safe country, because those people cannot come and cross illegally. They have to do it through the legal route, and only then they are welcome in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Labour, you do have questions asked to you, so it's not just Gabriel. Don't worry about this. He says, do you plan to raise taxes on private schools? And he says, not all private schools' parents are rich. It could just be a choice and it would overload the public school system. What's your response to this, Harry?
My response to this, thank you, Jay, is it is incorrect to say that a high amount of private school pupils will be affected by this plan. An independent research, an independent investigation has found out that the impact for private school kids will be minimal, whilst the impact it will have for people in the public sector with the new teachers, the mental health workers, and the breakfast clubs will help so many people, will help up to 1 million children. This is something that anybody with any sort of moral compass would agree with, because people who can afford to send their kids to private school most likely can afford to pay a bit of extra tax on top.
Can I just say something on that private school thing?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes, you may, Gabriel. Yeah.
you're talking about moral compass, but surely you think about people who save up money and have save up money to send their children to private schools. Now we've seen the same model that the Labour Party has planned to introduce in Greece, for example, and it utterly failed. Schools started filling up with students. Clearly, that introduces a clear increase in the classroom sizes in terms of numbers of pupils. And it's something that we'll see in the UK. And then that comes to the teaching side of things, because it will be hard for teachers to deal with 40 pupil classes. It will be very hard for them to deal with it. So taxing private schools is just a way of the Labour Party to fund something which they couldn't find money for. And the other point is that you cannot punish those parents, and you can not just assume that every parent who sends their kids to private schools has the money. Many people go on bursaries, and obviously the parents pay a part of the money, but you cannot just make those assumptions saying that people who go to private schools are rich and can afford to pay the tax. It's untrue. I know many people that go to private schools. I went to state school, but I know many people who went to private schools whose parents have saved up money to send them to those private schools so they could have a better education for themselves. And just by taxing private schools, that doesn't mean that you, as a consequence, introduce a higher standard of teaching in UK classrooms. In fact, it will be the other way around, because you're going to increase classroom sizes. More people are going to be in those classrooms. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Then we actually have a question to the Lib Dems. Do you think Sir Davy is weak? He seems to do better on local elections rather than on the polls. That's again a question from William. Benjamin Roberts.
I don't believe Ed Davy's weak. I believe we tend to do well in local elections because we always have done. Liberalism's very individualistic and local ideology, and we believe in working hard for local people. And that means that people, when they have Lib Dem councillors, have Lib Dem councils, they want to elect Lib Dems. And, we'll see in Lib Dem held seats, now our majorities are going to massively increase in this election because people are satisfied having Lib Dem MPs. So we're not worried about polling in the slightest. And I think it actually shows the strength of Ed Davey. Despite the fact that we're going to be losing vote share, we're looking likely to get 50 seats this election.
Thank you very much. Then we now come to the last part of this debate. I'm very sure everyone are very tired. So the last part, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement, telling us what their plans are and why should they get your vote. Let's start with Gabriel Sharif, Conservative Party.
Thank you. Britons, I know the last few years haven't been perfect. we saw COVID coming in, and Rishi Sunak stepped up to save millions of jobs. We also saw the war in Ukraine soaring up your energy prices and sending those prices through the roof. And yet again, we increased support in our energy plan. However, we want to cut taxes for workers, something the Labour Party is certainly not going to do. We have pledged to cut taxes for workers, and we have pledged to support the self-employed. We also have a plan for our defense, our immigration, and many various sectors of our country. And although not everything's been perfect, it would have been way worse under a Labour government. If Keir Starmer on the 5th of July gets the keys to 10 Downing Street, we can only expect one thing: weak leadership by a weak man. A man who can't even stand up to his own deputy leader, for example, in Diane Abbott's scandal. A man who cannot even say no to Angela Rayner. We'll see chaos, we'll see instability under a Labour government. Whereas
Thank
we'll
you.
enjoy stability under Rishi Sunak and a clear plan for bold action. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Harry Kavanagh, Labour Party. Would you make
Thank
your
you, Jay.
closing statement?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you, Jay. Hello, every voter listening to this. I know times with Labour have been tough, especially during the Corbyn years, but Labour have come a long way. We have come back into the service of working people again, whilst the Tories have only gone further into supporting their millionaire mates through dodgy WhatsApp channels. In 2020, the furlough scheme was good, I'll admit it, but in the background, we had Rishi Sunak as well giving hundreds of millions to Michelle Mone for a company that didn't even deliver working equipment. She now has millions of extra pounds, and I think we've all seen that photo of her on the yacht enjoying herself, whilst millions are struggling to afford food and the basics. The Labour Party have a clear plan to increase rights for working people, through the New Deal for working people, banning fire and rehire, banning 0-hour contracts, and increasing union strength. The Labour Party also have a plan to deal with energy insecurity via GB Energy. GB Energy is going to bring renewable energy to a cheap, affordable, and government owned company. We also have a plan on education. We plan to hire 6,500 new teachers, get a mental health worker in every school, and deliver a free breakfast club to every pupil. We also have a plan to deal with crime and with antisocial behaviour. We will crack down on antisocial behaviour, and we will hire 10,000 new community police officers. We will stop the boats. We will crack down on the criminal gangs that come over smuggling people across. We will process those that have come across and get them back to a safe area. The Tories
Thank you.
have had 5 years. I'm sorry.
Okay, continue. You have 10 seconds.
The Tories have had 5 years to deliver on things such as levelling up and getting Brexit done, none of which has happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Liberal Democratic Party, Benjamin Roberts. Your closing statement,
Well,
sir.
I'm going to keep this short and simple. The people of this country have been taken advantage of for far, far too long. Unfair taxation, unfair economy, unfair NHS, a system which seeks to keep those at the bottom down. We believe in a free and fair and open society where people are free to be themselves, a society where democracy is at the heart of proportional representation, and a society where every person, no matter how they're born, is able to live up to their potential and become someone who is notable, someone, with a Wikipedia page, someone who gets what they deserve, working hard and getting it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Here is the end of the RBC general election debate. Remember to register to vote by tomorrow in order to vote on the general election on the 4th of July, Thursday. Do remember to bring your ID to the polling station that day, and I hope this general election debate, for the first time in British electoral history held on Roblox, would help you in making a more informed decision on this vital general election. Thank you to all our participants, as well as our team at the RBC. Johnny Master, the president of the RBC, and Ryan, the vice president of the RBC. I tell you again who our participants are. Gabriel Sharif, Deputy Chairman for the Milton Keynes Young Conservatives on behalf of the Conservative Party. Harry Kavanagh, East Lothian and member of Scottish Labour on behalf of the Labour Party. Benjamin Roberts, San Colview and Erdington Liberal Democrats tonight on behalf of the Liberal Democratic Party. Thank you to all three of them very much. And good night and goodbye.